What's going on, everybody? Quick one today, I think, anyway, about two topics based upon some conversations and posts that have been taking place in the private Facebook group. And one of them is about scaling, and the other one is some tips and tricks for a parent that has a new addition to the family. Baby number 2 just arrived. So, get some good info on scaling, and then some new baby help to maintain fitness. So the first one on scaling was really cool. This is a post from somebody named Ralph C. I shall keep his last name anonymous to protect the innocent. But Ralph's a member of Linchpin, and we did Amanda yesterday, I guess it was, and he posted in our private group, he said, I scaled part of the scaled and upscaled some of the scaled to create a hybrid scaled plus non-scaled sandwich. And so what he's talking about is, every day we give a bunch of different options. There's the prescribed workout of the day, then there's a wild card option, then there's a scaled option, then there's a limited equipment option, which is dumbbells, and then there's a no equipment option, which is just body weight. So Ralph chose the scaled option, and even based upon what the scaled option was, he scaled some of it even more. And then there was a couple parts of the scaled option that treated him well, but he could bump them up a little bit closer to what the prescribed workout was. So he, basically checked out these options, then checked out how he was feeling that day and whatever dings and dents he has from living a life on planet Earth, and created the appropriate workout matching the stimulus of Amanda as closely as he could to meet his specific needs. As simple as that sounds, and it is relatively simple, it requires some level of knowledge and sophistication and nuanced understanding of how we do what we do, but it's possible for anybody to get there through just continuing education. That's what you're supposed to do. Ralph absolutely nailed it. So I'll tell you, what he wound up doing here. So let me continue reading his post there. So he, created a hybrid scaled plus non-scaled sandwich. He says any type of dip out of the rings or even the rogue dip attachment put a strain on my torn shoulder labrum. So I switched to pull-ups and bench dips plus a power snatch. Frankenstein fitness was achieved. So really cool. So Amanda, for anyone who's unfamiliar with it, is 975 of a ring muscle up paired with a squat snatch. Typically 135 for the gentlemen, 95 pounds for the ladies. So what Ralph wound up doing, knew how he felt, knew how some of those movements treated his body, be it well or poorly, and he wound up doing 975 reps for time of a pull-up, a dip off of a bench, so a bench dip, and then power snatch at 135 pounds. And based upon the time that he came in, I would say he scaled it and modified it really well. And so, scaling is cool. That's a repeated thing that we say, and I think sharing as many of these stories as possible hopefully helps people, because even to this day, I hear enough messages that I have to believe that it's correct, that some people feel bad about scaling, or feel guilty about scaling, or feel like fitness isn't going to be achieved if they scale it, or they're shortchanging themselves, or fill in the blank with any number of things, or they feel some odd pressure, like that's not right if I scale it, I have to gut through the RX. Simply not true. Not only untrue, but patently false, and probably doing you more harm than good, and probably holding back your fitness more than you realize. So scaling is cool. Those aren't just empty words. It's smart for both performance and increasing your fitness and your health and longevity, quite frankly. And as I said, education is the key. Listening to these videos, understanding how to do it. Learning about your body is the key, because everybody's a little bit different, right? I mean, I just mentioned that there are 5 different options that I provide for the workout of the day. 5. It's a fair amount. And I've said this before, but if you've got 5 people that you're talking to, 5 options might be great. 5 options might do fine for 20 people. But there's the chance that if you have 6 people, that 5 options aren't enough, because the 6th person might be like Ralph. They're like, look, those were 5 great options, but I've got this particular thing going on for me, so I'm kind of somewhere in the middle, even of all those different options. So there's, no matter how, you could provide 35 different options. And if you have a class of 100 people, there's a chance that somebody's going to raise their hand and go, I appreciate the 35 options, but I got this going on today. And so that's why, as you know, we always keep coming back to, everybody out there working on their education, working on their understanding of the methodology, listening to this podcast, whatever podcast that you enjoy, that you find beneficial and educational and helps increase your knowledge base, will only allow you to make smarter decisions, to check out what that workout is, assess how you're feeling that day, and make the best decision for wherever you are on your personal and individual fitness journey. And I'll let the cat out of the bag. You won't always get it right. Anyone who says that you will is lying to you. As human beings, we make errors from time to time, and we learn from those errors. Hopefully they're small ones, but every time that you do attempt to scale or modify, you will learn something, and then you'll do it better next time, and you'll do it better next time, and you'll do it better next time, and all that good stuff. Oh, let's see. Okay, we got a question from Randy. So I have some athletes that go to the gym outside of class times. The open gym. But they just won't scale to meet the stimulus, no matter how many options I explain and why they should. Suggestions to get them to. Oh, a question as old as time. Some people, and I don't say this casting a stone at somebody else, because if I look back to myself in years gone by, I was far more pig-headed, ignorant, and stubborn than I would like to admit, and thought that I knew a lot more than I actually did. And so you just might be dealing with some people who are in that phase of their life. And those are very challenging people to get through to. Back in the day, when I was in that certain idiotic phase of my life, it wouldn't have mattered how wonderfully rich and detailed and fact-based somebody's explanation as to why I should have scaled or modified something was. I was at just a closed-minded phase of my fitness journey where it was RX or it was nothing. And anybody else telling me otherwise just sounded like that teacher from the old Charlie Brown cartoons that wah, 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 wah. So if you're dealing with some folks like that, you've got your work cut out for you. I mean, all you can really do is provide people with the appropriate information as to why they should be doing what they're doing, and then that's that. But here's the caveat I'll say to that. And I don't know the situation at your gym, Randy. If it's an open gym where they come in and you're allowed to do whatever you want, it's like a free fire zone. You can do whatever you want, and that's that. There are no rules. Well, then you can provide people with some guidance and information, but they're still going to do whatever the heck they want, because that's the freedom that they are allowed during that particular part of time. However, if this is just, privilege isn't the right word that I'm looking for, but an offering at your gym, there's class times and there's a couple hours a day that are open gym, and you're allowed to show up during open gym, and if you want to work out on your own, hey, have at it. If the caveat or the general understanding is, yes, it's an open gym, yes, there may not be a coach or a trainer specifically assigned to watch over you right there, because it's an open gym and people enjoy that. I am one of those people. I love it. But if those people are still at your facility under your care, and there's some umbrella policy, for lack of a better way to say, which is, yes, it's an open gym. However, as the coach or trainer or owner or whatever, if I see somebody doing something that you're still under my care, that I know in my heart is incorrect, potentially injurious, harmful, whatever you happen to want to label it as, and it would be the professional and appropriate and responsible thing to modify that. If you still have that power, then by all means, even though it's an open gym, if you're running the show and the answer is no, hey, that's no good, you got to stop that or change that, then okay. But if your open gym is, you can come in and do whatever you want, which is fine, then all you can give them is your best advice, articulated in hopefully what you feel will be the most openly or positively received manner in which to say it. And if they choose to ignore it, then they choose to ignore it. And at a certain phase of my life, I would have been that person that would have chosen to ignore it. And now I stand here, trying to get people on a better path. So everyone's someplace different. But good luck to you with that. So getting back to Ralph. So Ralph did a fantastic job scaling Amanda to make sure it met his needs. And, as we always say, you're always authorized to make the best decision for you with regards to scaling. And I like what Ralph did. And somebody might say, well, look, Ralph had power snatch in there. Amanda has squat snatch. Ralph didn't get below parallel. So yeah, he did some good scaling, but he somewhat missed the stimulus. If on that particular day with that movement in his shoulders and that position or whatnot, going below parallel didn't feel good, and it's one workout in isolation, he's going to be okay if that's what made sense for him and how he felt on that day. In general, we try to preserve as much of the stimulus as possible when modifying or scaling a workout. So if maybe something else could have been added to that had a below parallel component, sure, as long as that felt good, it would have been great. But here's the thing, which is cool, is Ralph had the intelligence and humility, it's a great way to put it, didn't let his ego get in the way, to scale Amanda. Now, people don't know Ralph. Ralph's a beast. Ralph is not new to fitness. Ralph has been doing this a long time. He's not a newbie. So usually it's easier for newer people to scale and tougher for veterans to scale because they feel like they shouldn't have to because they've been at it for so long. Ralph's been at it for a while and still had the intelligence and forethought and humility to scale, and that is also what I find so impressive about it. And by the way, Ralph's a beast. His numbers are, where are his numbers here? Because he had a post that just blew me away as well. He's 51 years old, by the way. And let's see. 51 years old. I've gotten my squat up to 465 pounds without doing a squat program, just doing linchpin workouts. I struggled to get to 400 pounds doing other programs. I've also increased my deadlift, cleans, and my snatch. So he's back squatting 465 pounds. Ralph's a beast. And even with that capacity, had no problem scaling when he needed to scale. So I think he's a good lesson for most of us. And everybody enjoys it when they see like the really strong person or the really whatever person make a good decision. I think it inspires other people to do the same, which is why I'm kind of sharing Ralph's story here. Ralph's also a riot. His posts are funny. They crack me up every day. All right. Second topic, and I'll wrap up here. Just a quick little Tuesday hit. This is from Sandy N. Sandy just posted, "We welcomed our second little one into the world a few days ago. Mom was an absolute champ, and everyone is happy and healthy. For at least the next," I just realized I was blocking my microphone, sorry about that. "For at least the next 3 months until he gets sleep trained, I'm likely to be running on very little sleep, and I'm curious as to how to adjust my workouts accordingly. My priority is general health and over fitness or competition, things like that. And I need to minimize sickness and injuries in order to be an effective husband and dad. To achieve, how should I achieve this?" Great question. I've got 3 kids, a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, both of whom are about to have a birthday. And my daughter's about 14 months right now. And so hearing Sandy's tale of having a brand new baby in the house almost gave me like nightmarish flashbacks as to what some of the early times were like with Lane. It was rough. We're still not out of the woods yet, but it was rough. But point being, fitness can still be achieved, okay? So here we go. Sandy, question number 2, child number 2 just arrived. Quick things that popped into my head. Keep the diet as tight as possible, because even if the fitness goes up or it goes down, the workouts happen with the same frequency, with less frequency, if intensity is reduced or whatever it happens to be, that's going to happen. You're going to be getting less sleep. You're going to be getting stressed out. If on top of all of that, you let your diet go into the trash, everything is going to spiral down the toilet quickly. All those other things that I just said, while not ideal, if all those other things are happening in your life and you're keeping your nutrition really clean and tight to the best of your ability, you will be worlds ahead of where many people allow themselves to. So as tough as that's going to be, try to keep the diet tight. Also remember in this difficult time when you've got the new baby and free time went out the window and sleep is something that you don't remember what it is. Something is infinitely better than nothing. We say that all the time at Linchpin. And what we mean by that is if you have to do a reduced version of the workout, if you have to do something that's heavily scaled or modified, there's that saying out there that people say, well, something's better than nothing, right? Something's better than nothing. True, but what I don't like about that is that implies that something is only marginally better than doing nothing. I very much disagree with that. I think doing something, when compared with doing nothing, is infinitely better. And so I would keep that into your head this whole time. Who cares what you have to scale and modify? Who cares if the loading goes down? Who cares if you cut the number of rounds in half? You're going to have to work with the time that you find during the day and how you feel based upon the sleep that you did or did not get, and make something happen in that now compressed window. And doing anything is infinitely better than had you chosen to do nothing. So that's what I would hope for you to walk away with as well. And also cut yourself some slack and give yourself some grace, because you're going to need it, right? I have found personally that the toughest thing to get in situations like this are heavy days. There's a lot of workouts that I can go in, and it's not ideal, but hey, we're friends here, right? We're having a conversation about real life. We know that there's an ideal, and it's okay to have an ideal, and we should have an ideal, even if we don't always obtain it. And the ideal is get a great night's sleep, everything went well during the day, nutrition was on point, you had plenty of time to do a beautiful, thorough warm-up, you hit the workout with beautiful intensity, you have great time at the end to do a cool down, you get in a full little stretch session, you go home. That's awesome. That's the ideal. If your life is currently in something which allows for the ideal to happen on a regular basis, excellent. I'm actually quite happy for you. Sandy is not there right now. Sandy is not going to be in that ideal for a while. So does that mean it just don't do anything? I would wholeheartedly disagree with that. So you're going to have to do something that's not going to be the ideal. And that might be a reduced or not even warming up every now and then, if you think it's a workout in which you can pull that off and still be making a decent decision for your body, etc., etc. You're going to have to cram some stuff in, reduce some loading, scale some workouts. That's going to be okay. I've been there for the last 14 months, and we can do it together. So one of the toughest things to get in is a true heavy day, because like a real heavy day, to do it well and properly, can take like an hour. So that I have found to be one of the biggest struggles. When I get them in, it's awesome and I cherish them. But when I can't, there are things that I just do that, again, are infinitely better than nothing. I remember on more than one, what should have been a heavy squat day, for example, wasn't going to happen. And I just went out into the garage knowing that I had about 20 minutes, period, that's it. And I did 2 minutes of pedaling on the Echo bike, grabbed a pair of 50-pound dumbbells, lunged them about 15 meters, hopped back on the Echo bike for 2 minutes, hopped off, lunged them for 15 meters, and I just did that as many times as I could in 20 minutes with no warm-up. Because a dumbbell walking lunge at that loading is something that I can do and feel very confident doing, even though I didn't warm up. I couldn't throw 275 in the bar and try to front squat it without warming up. That would be negligent. So knowing where different things fall in your level of fitness is a good thing, and then try to get in the things that you can there. Another thing that I would do is, I'm in my office right now, and if you can actually see behind me, there's a pair of dumbbells sitting on the floor right there, a few pairs as a matter of fact. And at many, many times during the last 14 months with my baby, if things didn't quite go how I wanted it to, I would just walk back there and do death by thrusters. It's a built-in warm-up, 1 rep the first minute, 2 reps the second minute, 3 reps the third minute, and I would just go as far as I can go. and there was no warm-up, and there was no cool-down, and then I just walk right back to the computer and keep working because that's all I had the opportunity to do that day. And then I think back on, was that ideal? Absolutely not. Was it profoundly beneficial? Completely, 100%. I mean, if I think about, I was either going to do nothing or I did a death by thruster workout. Yeah, that's a huge win, a tremendous win. I can also do a death by burpee without a warm-up either, because again, minute 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are this nice accumulating warm-up, and I can get something like that in without leaving the house, any of that stuff. We had to do heavy deadlifts the other day at Linchpin, and my life did not allow me to do it, and I really wanted to do that 7x2 deadlift. I needed to do it, actually. I didn't get to do it. What I did get to do that day was not ideal, but it was way better than doing nothing. I brought one of those 50-pound dumbbells into our living room, had our little girl there, and I did the lowest intensity dumbbell workout in the world because I'd have to deal with my daughter for a couple minutes. Then I could get 75 seconds of free time, and I would do as many single leg stiff-legged deadlifts as she would allow me to do in about 90 seconds. I'd deal with her for a bit, do as many single leg stiff-legged deadlifts as I can, and I did that until I didn't want to do any more single leg stiff-legged deadlifts. Then I'd play with her a little bit, and then I would take that single dumbbell and do one arm bent over rows. Play with her, one arm bent over rows, just going back and forth until I had done plenty of one arm bent over rows. And I brought the other dumbbell in and did some just double dumbbell deadlifts, and again just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and it was low intensity because it was spread out over a long period of time. It wasn't like a 7x2 deadlift where I lifted a tremendous amount of weight. I never lifted more than 50 pounds with one dumbbell or 100 pounds with two, but I did something, and it was strengthening my posterior chain and my midline. It was pulling something off the ground, and I'm light years ahead of had I just decided today is too tough, I can't get in the 7x2 deadlift, therefore I'm not going to do anything. So, kind of take that mindset and story and you just apply it day by day and day by day. And some of this actually relates to what we talked about with Ralph C. earlier, making his scaling option, right? The knowledge base and the options we provide and all that allowed me to understand how even on a day where I couldn't get in the quote-unquote prescribed workout, I was able to do something with the time that I had and the gear that I had that met the stimulus as close as possible. And so that's kind of where you are for the time being. Sandy, a tip of the cap. Best of luck to you. I would also say, if you want, listen to another podcast, one that I do with Adrian Bosman, Very Not Random. Listen to episode number 29. That's entitled Tips and Tricks to Help New Parents Maintain Their Fitness. That's episode 29. And then also listen to Very Not Random episode 67. And that is entitled Fitness as a Parent with a 1-year-old Toddler. So hopefully that helps. And good luck. Good luck with the baby there. So that's it. Have a wonderful day, everybody. And we will talk later.